Welcome back. This is your host Noura Masri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. How are you doing? We're back with a very important segment. We're going to talk about leadership. Whether you are starting a business, starting a nonprofit, or maybe you're already there, you have a leadership position at home where you're leading your family, leading yourself, right? It's very important to learn more about leadership. This is one of the things that you will never stop learning about it. So we like to talk about it a lot at Echoes of Impact, as you know, because we want you to carry more information, get more educated about a very important topic so you can lead your life better. There's always a space to improve. So let's talk about this. There's no one better than my friend, Dr. Maria, to talk about leadership. Dr. Maria has been here before. And if you did not watch the episode that she was in, you want to go back a lot, like almost a year ago. She has been here. Just look for the episode. We have everything stored at nowmedia.tv. Just search for the show and you can find all previous episodes. So welcome, Dr. Maria. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you, Noura. I'm so excited to be here. Yeah, I'm doing well today. I'm happy to talk to you about leadership and have this great conversation. And it has been about a year, and I feel so lucky to know you. I think you're amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We became a great friend like since last year, and I really admire that having you in my circle and always learning from you. So, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself so they can know like how great you are and what have you been doing?
Thank you. It's just facts. It's not bragging, right? So anyway, I started on my leadership journey in high school, and that was when I read this really cool book called I Dare You, and it talked about how you can be successful and also be well, and I thought that was super important. So I've been in the leadership and development space for a long time. I'm a coach and a consultant, and I've been a professor of business psychology overseeing an org leadership program, a doctoral program. So it's been an adventure, and I love working with different people about growing and shifting in their leadership skills.
Awesome. So a lot of people find it really challenging when they want to introduce change, when there's change happening in their life, changing happening in the organization. And I know you wrote the book about that called Navigating the Ride of Change. So can you tell us a little bit about that book and how did you, why did you write about that?
So, uh, navigating the rite of change is about the concepts of change, but also about my own personal story of moving through change. And so that story was related to a car accident that I had, and I had sustained a traumatic brain injury. And from that, I had to figure out and work with a lot of different doctors to heal. So it was change because I wasn't sure what I was going to do next after the treatment. So it was all this exploration of how the ways I can change my identity, how I can learn new things, upskill and reskill. And so I wrote the book about that. And when I think about navigating the ride of change, I think about how if you're riding a bicycle, you have to keep pedaling or you're not going to move forward. And that's a lot like change. And sometimes people say, we don't like change, but I want to change that narrative because, well, we don't usually eat the same thing for dinner every night. We usually don't wear the same clothes every day. And then when we're traveling, we usually don't go to the same places. So maybe we do like change. So that's kind of a perspective that I look at.
It's just uncomfortable to change. Like we used to do this way. Why do you want me to change it this way? This is how my brain like used to think. Why should I think out of my way? Like why should I get out of my comfort zone. But you're right, like I never thought about it like that. Um, we might like change, especially women, right? We don't want to wear the same clothes every
Right.
single time.
And there's so many great places to go and eat. And now
Uh-huh.
with social media and all the different recipes you can get, and then you could really even stretch yourself and change up those recipes by using AI. So lots of options. But yes, it is true. It is true that people are uncomfortable with change, and that's because there's several processes around it. And leaders really know that, need to know that, whether they're leading their home or in a business, just leading their life. So you have to kind of know there's some emotions with that, and that there are some, like, when you're even thinking about change, it's a whole process to even commit to making a change.
Yeah, so how do you think, like, you would, as a leader, you would introduce the change to your team?
So, well, there's so many different ways to do that. And one of the things to think about is, what are the driving and resisting forces to the change in the organization? So it's really important to look at the system impact and kind of ask questions and be curious of people in your organization of how it might impact the whole system. Because that's how a lot of times organizational change fails, is because people don't look at the whole system. So I guess that's one of the first pieces to consider.
So can
So
you give
I
me an
could go
example
on.
of that, just so that people, we have time, so but like I
Oh,
want
okay,
to
good.
see if you have an
Yeah.
example so people can understand it more.
So I think about, I think, and I'll just use this, is when I was teaching as a college professor, there was a change from whether we were going to use the learning management platforms and grade papers electronically or continue to receive papers in paper format.
Mm.
So, so there had to be a lot of conversations of why there's a benefit to looking at the papers electronically instead of on paper. So it would be a matter of, in that situation, thinking about what are all the different fears that go along with that. I mean, maybe people don't feel like they're tech savvy, so they might be fearful of that. And then you'd have to think about, before making the change, how could you lessen that for people? Or what would you need to do to help people move through that change?
So I'm hearing
So,
that you really have to plan how to introduce the change to your team.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, yes, for sure. For
So,
sure.
uh,
Because
good.
the first thing people are going to ask is, what's in it for me? You know, that
Mhm.
radio station WIFM, like, what's in it for me? So they're always thinking about that.
Yeah. So what do you think like from happening? Because you know a lot of about psychology. So inside of the human brain, like what would happen? Like what would be going on resisting the change? And is there anyone like would be excited to have change?
Okay. Okay, so what's going on is, it is like, where do people fit in? And so there's this concept or theory, and it's called neuro leadership, and it's by David Rock. And in that model, he has an acronym, and it's called SCARF. And so when people are thinking about or going to experience change, they really need to know all about the following: what's their status, certainty, uh, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. So those are all the different things that are going on for people. And so when a leader looks at change, they'll want to make sure that they're thinking about addressing that. So then people's brains don't run into a real big fear state for that change.
Mm.
So everybody just has to think about the scarf when they're leading change.
Scarf. Can you repeat that again? Like what is it?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
the scarf. And I should have brought a scarf to wrap it around. But yeah, it's a scarf. So status,
Mhm.
people want to know, what will their status be? You know, are they going to have their job description change, or they're going to move up, or maybe drop down a couple levels? what's certain for them, the certainty. So the more clarity the leader can give, that's really important. Autonomy is where will they be able to lead in their own role? So how can they, not that they're being micromanaged, but how can they be out on their own in this change? Then relatedness, and that's a little bit about how they relate to others in the organization. Will they have new reporting structures, or how will they fit in the relatedness category? And then is it fair? Is
Mhm.
it fair? So sometimes when two mergers happen in organizations, there's going to be two HR directors or people leaders, or there's going to be two COOs and all these different positions that are duplicate. Well, there has to be a way to figure out how they can maximize and use the strengths of those talents and then give people certainty while they're making that change.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for this information. We're going to be right back with you, Dr. Maria, after the break to talk
Okay.
more about leadership and change. Guys, this is your host, Noura Masri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We'll see you right back.